Hello, my name is Sophie Cunnington and I am a master's student at the University of York in England. I am studying marine environmental management, and for this degree I undertook a 2-month summer placement with the Ocean Project Seychelles, where I looked at marine litter pollution as part of their marine litter monitoring programme, which is what I'll be discussing over the next 15 to 20 minutes. The natural environment is facing many challenges and plastic pollution is one of them. Plastic has become so indispensable in everyday life that some now call this era the plastic age. The versatility of such materials makes them suitable to produce a large variety of products, and here are just a few examples. Plastic pollution has increased over recent decades and reached almost 350 million tonnes in 2017. The reason why these materials are so popular is due to their properties. They are strong, durable, lightweight and cheap to make. But these properties are also the reason why plastics are causing such serious environmental, social and economic concern once released into the natural environment. Some examples include the ingestion of plastic and other types of litter by animals, which can lead to internal damages and blockages, as well as affect their hormone levels and reproductive success. Items can lead to entanglement of animals, which can cause injury and sometimes death. Items can act as a vector, which can introduce non-native species to new ecosystems. And they can transport, plastics can transport chemicals from sediments to marine species, which can pose a threat to other species further up the food line and even human health. A recent study by Royer et al. 2018 also suggested that the oxidation of plastic by UV radiation or sunlight may be a source of greenhouse gases, thereby contributing to anthropogenic climate change. Furthermore, the presence of plastic on beaches can impact tourist perceptions of the quality of the natural environment, and therefore can result in economic losses due to reduced spending and visitation rates. This is particularly damaging for countries like the Seychelles, whose economies rely so heavily on the tourist industry. These issues are having worldwide impacts, which include the Western Indian Ocean. However, there is limited data on the effects of marine litter pollution in this area due to lack of awareness, resources and training. We do know that major cities, harbours and industries pose an increasing threat to coastal and marine ecosystems in the Western Indian Ocean. In addition, major cities and towns generate significant amounts of solid waste, which can contribute to marine litter pollution. However, the Western Indian Ocean Marine Science Association is working with a number of countries in the Western Indian Ocean to fill this knowledge gap, and have established a 3-year litter monitoring programme to achieve this. These organisations include, apologies in advance for the mispronunciation of all the names, the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, the Fagio in Tanzania, Universidade Lurio in Mozambique, Ketamada in Madagascar, the University of Mauritius, the African Marine Waste Network, which is a project by the Sustainable Seas Trust based in South Africa, and the Ocean Project Seychelles. If you don't already know, the Ocean Project Seychelles is a non-governmental organisation which was founded in 2016 in response to the increasing threats that are affecting the oceans. Currently, their main focus is on plastic pollution and are working to raise awareness of this issue through education programmes and by engaging people through organised beach cleans. The Ocean Project has a number of goals for this project, which are as follows. 1, to assess the efficiency of management and mitigation measures. 2, to inform the long-term management of the issue. 3, to promote the solutions to reduce the threat. They also have a number of objectives, which are as follows. 1, to establish baseline data on the quantity, composition and accumulation of marine litter across the Seychelles and develop a standardised monitoring protocol. 2, monitor the quantity, composition and accumulation of marine litter across the Seychelles and determine their source, either land or ocean-based. 3, to investigate the likely country or region of origin of the marine litter they find. 4, to document the impact on wildlife by documenting any injured or killed animals. And 5, to investigate the risk of invasion by non-native species, which often colonise floating marine litter. For my placement, we focused on Objective 1. And within each objective there were further goals, but I'll only go into detail of those of Objective 1 as they're most relevant to this presentation. So the goals for Objective 1 were A, to undergo a number of trials over a number of months prior to the implementation of the programme, and B, to design the marine litter protocol according to the types of litter collected on the selected beaches and according to their morphology. So the Ocean Project has identified 3 beaches on which they want to commence the marine litter monitoring programme, and these are all located on the main island Mahe and include Beauvalon Beach in the north, Anse Royale and Grande Police in the south. For my placement, we only focused on Beauvalon Beach in the north. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Beauvalon Beach, or those who just can't remember what it really looks like, here's an image to give you a quick snapshot of the surrounding area. Before we started the baseline survey, we conducted a public beach clean on the 10th of August of this year in order to set a clean baseline for the survey. The litter survey was then conducted over 10 days between the 11th and 20th of August. We collected litter across a 500-metre strip of beach located away from the major hotels, as we could not get permission to carry it out in front of the hotels. The study was also split into 5 100-metre transects, and we were also interested only in the macro litter, so litter that was greater than 25 millimetres in size. So here's an aerial view of Beauvalon Beach to just give you an idea of what it looks like. As you can see, the area behind the beach is relatively built up, which includes residential areas, shops, hotels and tourist activities. The red circle here indicates where we conducted the public beach clean the day before we carried out the official survey. And let's just zoom in on this area to get a better idea of. So we started the public beach clean here in the bottom right corner at La Plage, which is a restaurant, and finished at the other side of the image where I'm drawing the red attempt of a red line. In the middle of this image you can see transects 1 to 5, which is what we used during the 10-day litter monitoring survey. These transects allowed us to identify the areas of the beach where we found the litter. So once we collected the litter, we identified, counted and weighed all the items, and in total we prevented 4,598 items from entering the ocean, which is the equivalent of 78.18 kilograms, and this was only for the 10-day litter monitoring programme. The day before for the public beach clean, we actually collected 130 kilograms of litter from both the beach and the banks behind. So to give you an idea of what we collected, one way we identified the items was through the materials that they were made of. And what we found was that the composition largely consisted of plastic, mixed materials and glass, which are represented by this dark blue colour, the lighter blue colour and the yellow. This made up a combined value of around 60% of all the items we collected. We also found relatively large amounts of metal and paper items as well. Also split the items into categories depending on their use, so we could get an idea of their purpose and where they actually came from. These categories included food, so we had food packaging and food boxes and takeaway boxes. A drink category, so bottles, bottle tops, straws, cartons and cups. Smoking items, so cigars, cigarette boxes, cigarette butts, and the plastic parts you find within the cigarette boxes. Personal care items, so there you can see a razor. The above picture is actually a wet wipe and the below images are nappies. We also had an other category, so these were categories where there weren't enough items to justify giving them their own category. So this included toys, shoes, and other pieces of clothing, receipts, bags and stuff. And then there was also an unknown category. So these were often fragments or items that we couldn't actually identify or give their own category. So this largely consisted of glass fragments and polystyrene fragments. So this pie chart shows that a relatively large number of items that were described were actually from the unknown category, which represented about a third of the items we collected. The second largest category was the drinks category, which represented 28%, so you can see that in the blue part of the pie chart. And then this was followed by the food category and the smoking category, which is grey. I also wanted to identify anything that might impact the amount of litter found throughout the survey. So I compared the quantity of litter found on different day types. So weekends, which included litter found the mornings after Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays, and weekdays, which was litter found the mornings after Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, to see if the increased presence of local people affected the amount of litter that we collected. However, as you can see with this box plot, there is a large overlap between the two variables, which suggests that there's no real difference between the day types. I then conducted some Kruskal-Wallis statistical tests, which confirmed that there was no significant difference between weekends and weekdays, with a p-value of 0.1. I also wanted to see if the proximity of the transects to the main beach affected the amount of litter that we collected. This box plot suggests that much more litter was collected from transect 1 than the other transects over the study period. Kruskal-Wallis tests confirmed this, showing that there was a significant difference between the transects, and Mann-Whitney-U tests were used as a post hoc test, which showed that only transect 1 was significantly different from the rest. However, there may be a number of reasons why this may be. So if we look back at the satellite image of the transects, you can see in the study area that transect 1 is actually part of the main beach, whereas the other transects are a bit more secluded due to the number of boulders and rocks you can see scattered through the transects themselves. This means that transect 1 might get more footfall than the other transects, and therefore more litter might be dropped. Also, if you look behind transect 1, you can see Beach Shack, which is directly behind. This may also impact the amount of litter that was found as well. And then if, again, comparing transect 1 to the other transects, you can see from this image that the beach width is much larger between the bank and the sea than the other transects. And it gets a lot smaller as you go along, with very little being in transect 5. And the number of boulders increases from none in transect 1 to a lot more in transect 5, which may also impact it. This is likely due to the greater surface area in transect 1 than the other transects, allowing for more accumulation. However, as this is a baseline survey, it is difficult to actually to make too many assumptions. But as the project continues over the next 3 years, more patterns will be observed and identified. So just to briefly go over what we achieved over this during the survey, we established baseline data on quantity, composition and accumulation of marine litter on Beauvalon Beach, and developed a standardised monitoring protocol by carrying out a trial of the beach litter survey and setting a baseline. And we also designed a marine litter protocol according to the type of marine litter collected on Beauvalon Beach and according to its morphology. And we also identified some findings as well. So, what are the next steps for the programme? Beach litter surveys have recently been started and will continue for the next 3 months. Well, continue every 3 months for the next 3 years. And the data collected from this will satisfy the remaining objectives, which I'll just remind you of, which are Objective 2, to monitor the quantity, composition and accumulation of marine litter across Seychelles and determine their source, either land or ocean-based. 3, investigate the likely country or region of origin of marine litter. 4, document the impact on wildlife by documenting any injured or killed animals. And 5, investigate the risk of invasion by non-native species which colonise floating marine litter. So to conclude, a baseline has now been set for future monitoring on Beauvalon Beach, and we also identified a number of limitations for the protocol, which have now been incorporated into the final procedure. So here are a few of my references. Just to finish, I would like to thank the Ocean Project for taking me on for my summer placement, especially Karine Rasoul, who acted as my supervisor over this period. I would also like to thank Victoria Alice, who was my partner in crime for the litter surveys, and thanks for all her help and support. And thank you for listening. It's been an honour speaking here today, and I'm sure someone from the Ocean Project would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.